Welcome to the Bradshaw Boys podcast, where three guys are watching romantic comedies and other movies. I'm Cory Cavin.
I'm Kevin James Doyle.
My name's Jon Sieber.
And oh, what a day. What a night.
Why is that?
We are watching fucking Princess Bride.
Dun, dun.
It's got Fred Savage and other guys and other ladies
Andre
in the movie, including Billy Crystal.
Oh, what a rhyme.
Oh, Carrie Hughes.
You killed my father, now prepare to die.
Chris Guest.
Um,
I have 6 fingers.
anybody want a peanut?
Welcome.
If you are watching our video,
Mhm.
Yeah.
I do have a hat on, and it was gifted to me from an artist, and they gave it to me like a month before Trump ran for president. It's a giant red hat that is in
With
the state
white writing.
yeah, and it's in the shape of Arkansas, and it just says y'all.
Yeah.
And I tried. I was like,
Kevin scratched it out and wrote MAGA on the front.
Yeah,
instead.
Kevin scratched it out and wrote, and I'll vote for him a second term too.
no, now
It
it's
was weird that you wrote that way back then.
now. What's the one that says "Make America Great Again"? Or I forget. It's something like that. But anyways, whatever the new one is, it's like wow, season. It's I mean, his second term is going to be like an episode of And Just Like That.
Dude, what if he gets a woke moment back?
I hope so.
Office.
I would kind of love to see. Well, I don't know.
But I did try and wear this out a few times, just being like, "It's a friend gave it to me," and people would be like,
Nah.
I was like, "I'll wait a few years."
Dude, how do you think Marlboro had a branding crisis at some point?
Yeah.
No, I think they had.
I think Marlboro was probably just like, people are going to smoke it no matter what. Like, we're glad to
that's
have
like the right brand for them.
there's good smokers on both sides.
There's very good.
Very good smokers.
There's
on both
healthy
sides.
smokers on both sides.
Exactly.
There's unhealthy smokers. There's people who do it responsibly.
Yeah.
Now, a cool thing about our new format.
Yeah.
We didn't watch the first part of Princess Bride together. We actually secretly chose it
Without me.
We did choose it without
as
you.
like
Yeah.
a gift to you, as like a we cannot
I
wait.
love me some Princess Bride.
Yeah. I don't know if we've talked about it, but I was like, I feel like John's going to be down.
I'm super down.
You're
Yeah.
caught up where we left off,
Yeah,
but you've
of
also
course.
seen the movie
I've
100 times.
I've seen it like my entire childhood over and over again.
I want to ask you, how do you think it falls into, we're saying we're doing rom-coms.
Yeah.
How do you think it falls into that? Because it's listed as one of the greatest rom-coms of all time when you look up rom-com lists. And we were not so sure on that, but it's also such a great movie.
Well, I mean, I think that you have to look at what a romantic comedy is. And we talked a little
We talked about this last time.
Like, is there romance?
Is there rom?
Undoubtedly.
Mm-hmm.
Is there comedy?
Is there com?
Most certainly.
Yeah.
And there's action.
what?
There's
Is there rom? What's the rom? Well, there's Wesley.
What was the other one?
Is there com? Is there comedy? It's a very funny movie.
Just sounds like you're saying come.
It sounds like you. Yeah.
It's a rom-com.
Arnold Schwarzenegger.
A rom-com is a rom.
Is porn.
A rom-com is porn geared towards women.
Romantic. Yeah.
That's like ethically made porn. It's called rom-com.
Right. The other one is just called a rob-com. And it's just made for dudes named Rob.
Or there's rum-com, which is just Pirates of the Caribbean.
That's right. Right. And then there's also rum-cum, which is just Stagnetti's Revenge, the most expensive pornography movie ever made.
I do think Princess Bride is a romantic comedy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do. I think if you look at the different eras of romantic comedies, this is one from, when was this made? Like the late 90s?
Late 80s.
Late 80s, I mean. Yeah, I mean, I think there's like we watched Crazy Stupid Love the other day, and then you were mentioning Love Actually, how they feel a lot different than like the Tom Hanks, Julia Roberts, Meg Ryan romantic comedies, but I think you just got to break it down to the roms and the coms, and this has both in spades.
Yeah.
We'll listen to, or we'll watch it at some point, but they say like the original rom-com was It Happened One Night.
Huh.
And so I think people just get used to being like, okay, rom-coms are set in reality.
Yeah.
Yeah.
guy and a girl courting each other.
Yeah.
And I would say the difference between this is like, it's like a rom-com adventure movie.
Also, like this is made for families and little kids.
Yeah.
Right.
No little kid's gonna want to watch You Got Mail as a 6-year-old, but like they will want to watch this.
Yeah.
That's sort of the conceit of Fred Savage getting told the story, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Is this a kissing book?"
Yeah,
and then it actually you get tricked into a romance story.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this movie. I'm so glad that we're watching it. I watched this all the time when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I quote it all the time. It's like this was a big movie to watch on a bus when you were like going somewhere with a group
Like-
of kids.
Oh yeah.
Like a
Like a school
youth
trip
group
or something,
A school
or, yeah.
trip. They would always it's just always a safe movie to put on.
Totally. It does feel like something if you're even like a summer camp thing, if you just got a bunch of kids, and it's also a thing that is a good movie to put on.
Yeah.
There's a lot of safe movies that suck. Like, or just safe movies that are just fine. This is a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why it's like, it's adults. I mean, Pixar kind of mastered this, but it's like, what's a movie that like an adult
Yes.
and kids can both love, and this doesn't even have like winks, like, ooh, like dirty winks. Like no, you didn't
Right.
get that joke, but it's just like a well-told good story. That's not like, I don't know, accommodating like the lowest common denominator for
Right.
kids. And it's like,
Yeah.
so I don't know how you do that, but when it happens, it's so good.
It's so good.
Because I
It's
think
such
this is such a, this is also, there's like, since there are like real stakes,
Mhm.
like in, what would be another example? But like those first movies that are very impactful on you because you're like, oh shit, death. Like
Yeah.
Mrs. Doubtfire
Yeah.
was like very
Dude.
intense because of the divorce scene.
Yeah.
And I think like the beginning, the divorce scene, and then Robin Williams, like towards the end, just because of how good his acting is.
Mm-hmm.
You watch that as a kid, and there's a few adult things, but you could watch it as a kid, and it's like one of the first times you're like freaked out, like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
what if, and it's not just like divorce in passing, it's like actually
Oh, no.
intense.
At the end of the
Memory.
movie is about grappling with a new life and like the parents splitting up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I think it's one of the movies that if you watch it, it's one of those ones that if you watch it without watching it for a long time and watch it with kids, it's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's time to talk about what divorce is.
Yeah.
Totally.
But something cool that they did with Princess Bride, and I think I've mentioned this to you off pod, is during COVID, like a bunch of celebrities filmed scenes from this movie just like on their phone, and then they mashed it all up to make like this
Whoa.
really cool shot from iPhone in people's homes version of Princess Bride.
Oh, that's
It's
cool.
so good. It's
That's
really
awesome.
Who'd they get
fun.
in it?
Like literally everyone.
Like from the movie originally, or just
No,
tons of celebrities?
like different people.
Oh, that's
Like,
cool.
If I read the list of who's in it, it's like all of Hollywood.
That's awesome.
Because
That's awesome.
every like 2 minutes, it's a different celebrity pair, celebrity couple that does it.
Do you
That's
think
so
it's
cool.
Do you think it's better than
Than
the
the
Hollywood
Imagine?
mash? That's what I was gonna say. Than all the celebrities singing "Imagine" by John Lennon together.
I've never seen that one, but
Oh my
probably.
gosh!
You haven't?
No,
Did you hear about it?
right now.
It's
Are you
just-
serious? It was like the most despised moment of all of COVID.
No.
It was truly like a moment shift in COVID when it was
Oh,
like,
man.
Well, it was despised. I think that there was like it was published, it was shared, and then the backlash started, but it all happened very fast.
yeah. And also it was one of those things that honestly, when I first saw it, I was like, that's fine. Like that song is, I think, overrated for the same reasons why.
Yeah,
Like it seems like everyone come together, but it's just rich people while
yeah,
they're still grocery store workers. Like,
totally. And it's just rich people singing "Imagine," imagine all the people. Like it's just imagine world peace. Like imagine. It's just
in the shift, the key change keeps on happening. They're singing in different keys.
Oh my god.
it's great.
It's like, imagine it's, it's straight up like,
yeah.
imagine all the people. And then it's Will Ferrell being like, living in
Is
home.
Will Ferrell in it?
I don't know. I'm making up people. We'll find out who's in it and we'll roast them. Guess what? A year and a half late, but you're about to get roasted, Hollywood. But no, this is like,
That sounds like the better version.
this is the better. And then they also did it with, they got Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston back together to read for something.
Was it this?
I don't know if maybe is.
I mean, I'll just like
read off the people that are in this
So here
one.
are the different people that play the grandson. You have Josh Gad, Mackenzie Grace, Logan Kim, Joey King, Rob Reiner, Fred Savage. The grandfather is played by J.K. Simmons, Giancarlo Esposito, Sarah Silverman, Roman Mars, Robert Wool, Adam Sandler, Carl Reiner. These are all the different people that play Wesley.
Wait, hold on. The mother is only played by Retta.
Yeah.
That's great.
Chris
Love
Pine,
Retta.
Common, Sam Rockwell, Neil Patrick Harris, Sophie Turner, David Fade, John Hamm,
Wow.
Caitlin Denver, Brandon. I mean, and just like goes on.
I think it's just everyone. I think
it's like
just
literally every person in Hollywood.
I think it's just everyone that turned down the Imagine video.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm not doing that.
Jason Segel's version of Fezzik is really funny.
That's great.
That's so
Who,
cool.
who did Inigo Montoya?
Inigo Montoya, Diego Luna, Oscar Nunez, Finn Wolfhard, Javier Bardem, Keegan Michael Key, Nick Kroll, Sarah Cooper, Catherine Reitman, John Cho, Natalie Morales, and Pedro Pascal.
Wow.
Wow.
Every scene is like a different.
Is it on
set
YouTube right now?
Yeah, it's like a different set of
Wow.
actors, and it's really good. They did it for charity.
That's really cool.
They raised a bunch of money for charity. So
That's awesome.
It's really fun.
I'll look up what the Brad Pitt, Jennifer Aniston was, but because it was a movie they were in, or it was something. But when they like log onto the Zoom, Brad Pitt's just like, "Hey Jen," she's like, "Hey Brad," and everyone's like, "Ah!" But I was like,
That's
"That's pretty cool."
That's awesome.
Was it the one that I forgot his name? Never mind. I'm not gonna be able to remember anyone's names.
Do you guys remember when we reunited the cast of Sex and the City for to thank medical workers?
Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
remember when we
I
reunited?
don't want to
the
brag,
Blackshot
but it was
Boys
pretty
tonight?
fucking cool.
Yeah.
Pretty great. I mean, listen, we are patting ourselves on the back a little bit, but it was pretty freaking cool.
I'll pat ourselves on the back.
Hey, go back and listen to
Nice
iHeart.
try. MPK couldn't do it. The fucking boys could, bitch.
And he was in it too.
And he was in it too.
We got him and all four ladies.
You fucking losers.
Whoa.
Figure your contracts out. The boys could do it.
Yeah.
Go back and listen to iHeart Medical
Gal
Workers.
Gadot, why don't you fucking go sing Imagine with all your losers? The boys are getting people thanking our fucking medical workers and doing what fucking no one could do.
Go check it out. Like
but-
and subscribe.
but yeah,
iHeart New York Medical Workers on our account.
we're doing second act of Princess Bride. What you all watched? What was the last thing that happened?
The last thing we saw was the inconceivable scene.
Inconceivable.
It was the switching of the wine.
Switching to the one.
Yeah.
So
Such a good scene.
put that on, watch it, and we'll be back
We'll be back.
later, taters.
The Princess Bride, directed by Rob Reiner. A fairy tale adventure about a beautiful young woman and her one true love. He must find her after a long separation and save her. They must battle the evils of the mythical kingdom of Florin to be reunited with each other. Based on the William Goldman novel, The Princess Bride, which earned its own loyal audience. And now, back to the boys.
Is that Titanic?
It's kind of a mix of Titanic and Lord of the Rings, which is kind of what this movie is now that I think about it.
That's funny.
How so?
Fantasy and love.
Fantasy and love.
There's not a lot of love in Lord of the Rings.
Oh, interesting.
Oh.
Guess friendship means nothing to you. Guess there's one kind of love.
Yeah, that's true.
There's not a lot of eros.
Yeah, none of that.
But there's
not
a lot
too
of-
much erotic love.
Yeah, there's a lot of
Pateras.
Pederasty.
There's a lot of pederasty.
Yes, dude, those little hobbits running around. It's the paternal love, whatever that is.
Yeah, I don't know. There's like the four kinds. Family. There's one kind of love. Family.
Princess Bride. What do we got?
We got high stakes.
Yeah.
A lot of high. Wesley is currently dead.
Currently dead.
The man in black.
Deadsley.
His fucking girlfriend left him.
Buttercup.
Well, she
Don't make excuses for him.
she trusted the
Yeah,
wrong
dude.
person.
Humperdinck.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the Christopher Guest's character's name.
He's the six-fingered man.
Six Finger.
Yeah,
Man.
Six Finger Man.
Yeah. So what happens is Buttercup, the woman, and Wesley, the Dread Pirate Roberts, he's telling her about how he killed Wesley and he remembers him specifically. So Buttercup pushes him down the hill. And as he's tumbling, amazing stunt, by the way.
Yeah.
Whoever did that stunt was incredible. It is a steep hill, or at least it looks like a steep hill, and they are just rolling down the hill.
Yeah.
He lets out a little code word, a little secret code. As you
wish.
Are you will?
Are you
a fan of Will and Grace? And she hears that and tosses herself down the hill as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
They end up in the forest, the fire forest, and they get past 3 obstacles in the fire forest. Number 1, the fire.
Yep.
Number 2, the lightning sand.
Yep.
And number 3, the ROUS, the rodents of unusual size. And how
that brings us back to one of the reasons why we chose this movie. It's set in New York City.
That's true.
They're on the C train.
Living in New York, I have experienced a random manhole having fire come out of it.
Yeah.
True.
There is a sinkhole on my street currently right now that you can basically see through the earth to China. It's so large.
Yeah.
And yes, there are rodents that are larger than my calf.
Yeah.
Running around. So New York is the forest from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dude, whatever, they're just like some crazy homeless guy in the forest too that they didn't even address.
I mean, I feel.
What time is it? Show time. He's just swinging from the vines.
What's up, Wesley?
They make it out to the other end, and Humperdinck and the Six Finger Man are waiting for him. And she surrenders, and they take Wesley away. They take him to the pit of despair.
Yes.
And they start to torture him. And the plot is revealed that Humperdinck doesn't actually want to marry Buttercup. He just wants to incite war with Gilder. And so he is planning on killing her the night of the wedding. The prince is a little bit upset because he really sees that she loves him. So he goes and kills Wesley by cranking up the torture machine. And you have Andre the Giant and Inigo Montoya. What's the actor's name again?
Mandy Patinkin.
Mandy Patinkin. They leave.
Andre the Giant.
They go find Wesley, and he is currently dead.
He's been killed by that machine.
He's been killed by the Six Finger Man and Humperdinck.
Yeah. Six Finger Man played by Christopher Guest.
Yeah. Christopher Guest is
incredible.
So good.
You know who his wife is?
Yes.
Who?
Jennifer Guest.
I'll give you both.
I know who it is.
Chris
You
Guest,
do?
spelled with a K.
John, do you know who it is?
No.
I'll give you.
I'll give you a hint.
Halloween.
I'll give you another hint. They've got tons of Activia yogurt in their fridge.
Elvira?
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Why Halloween?
She's in Halloween.
Oh, she was in.
Because she's in the movie Halloween. That's why I chose it. The one reason I chose it was that she's the lead in the movie Halloween, and the other reason was that as well.
I don't know. I've never seen Halloween. I don't watch scary movies.
Maybe we should have said, what if he would have said True Lies?
Yeah, I would have said
Or Christmas with the Cranks.
Have you seen you've seen Everywhere All the Time, right?
No.
She's in that.
I want to see it. I heard it's really good.
Yeah.
I had one opportunity to see a movie this week, and I went and saw Top Gun.
If you only have one shot, one opportunity, you got to go see Top Gun Maverick.
I went and saw a movie at Nighthawk the moment it opened.
That was pretty good.
Top Gun was the show I went to. Yo.
I feel like that is like an alternate reality version of like what Eminem could be if he sucked.
Yeah.
What?
Dun, 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 dun. I went to see a movie and a show, and I went and ate
Isn't that
some
just
popcorn.
basically what Lazy Sunday was?
Basically.
The viral.
I mean, you think about it. If Eminem just could have been a funny rapping comedian.
So
It's hard to rap on cue.
So Christopher Guest, I brought that up because he usually doesn't. Well, for those of you that don't know, which hopefully most people do, but I don't know. We know more than we're like fucking dumb nerds. A lot of people don't know. Christopher Guest plays the Six Fingered Man.
Yeah.
He's also the writer behind Spinal Tap, and Mighty Wind, and Best in
Waiting for
Show,
Guffman.
and Waiting for Guffman,
Mhm.
and For Your Consideration, and Mascots on Netflix that nobody watched. But like the modern and creator of the mockumentary.
Yeah.
And so he always plays like when he's Guffman, he's like, "Hi there." And this, it's like he's actually
He's not Guffman.
intimidating.
He's Corky St. Clair.
Corky's, yes,
He's
yeah.
Corky St. Clair.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Guffman is never in it.
No, they're waiting for him.
The older gentleman is Mr. Guffman, but not the one from Broadway.
Yeah. But he's really good in this. And the other thing was that was it. I don't know.
Mm.
I had one other thing. I don't know.
No, I think there's. I'm not sure like how much like life lessons there are from the middle of The Princess Bride, and that's okay because it's just a really fun, good time, great movie to watch.
I think there's one.
What is it?
Okay, what do you think? I guess we have to like tie this into. Let's try and tie it into like what it would look like in modern times. But
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
she is.
Well, you said the Dread Pirate Roberts, who is Wesley, but he is playing the Dread Pirate Roberts, and you find out why, is gaslighting her pretty hard.
Mhm.
He's basically Rick Fox from You've Got Mail.
Yeah, just being like, oh, blah 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 blah. It's like take the mask off, man.
Yeah.
The mask
You
is
got
like
her.
a metaphor.
Yeah.
But then when she leaves him, she's trying to save his life.
Yeah.
But when she's like, go away, the lady, she's presented as the queen. And then there's like this like ugly witch lady from the kingdom. And she's like, yup. What does she say?
Boo.
yeah.
Boo. You're the princess of garbage.
A garbage. And she says like, not pus, slime. And she says like possessence, or I forget. There's some like word that she uses that is like, but it's like, she's pathetic. She's garbage. She's filth because she gave up on love.
Yeah.
And then that is in her dream. That's, you think like, that's what she's thinking about herself.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess there's a life lesson on giving up on love, especially when he saved her life.
Yeah, but like it was also clearly the right thing to do. I mean, they had crossbows pointed at the both of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Wesley was like, I would choose death. And it's like, then you die.
Yeah.
Then you get a crossbow in the heart and you're done. Like,
yeah.
And then they would just take her anyway.
And then they would just take her anyway. And
That would suck to be the Jewish family who is in like a house hiding with someone who's like, they ask and it's like, they're in the basement. I'm sorry, I can't lie. I can't lie.
I just can't.
I'm sorry. It's just the right thing to do.
I studied Immanuel Kant, and I just know the ends never justify the means.
Yeah. Is it? Like, well, you're being a real Immanuel cunt right now, okay? Because now we're fucking dead in Auschwitz. But
that's not funny. The joke Immanuel Kant was. I just want to make it very clear what I was laughing.
What you're laughing at.
But I guess the lesson doesn't have to be that she needed to change what she did by giving it up. It's that like she probably didn't expect that it would haunt her forever. She's like, okay. I guess the lesson is like her journey isn't done yet.
Yeah.
That it's
she has hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also she, foolishly, but what's she going to do? But foolishly trust. She was like, leave him unharmed. She was trying to do a heroic, like gesture of love to say like, I will go back and sacrifice myself as long as you leave him unharmed.
Right.
And they were like, sure, we'll do it. And then they were like taken to the pit of despair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To the albino guy
Yeah.
something grown on his mouth.
Yes.
He definitely, and there's no shame here. He definitely has oral herpes, and that's not a judgment.
Yeah.
No.
But
he just needs Valtrex.
He's having a huge outbreak right now, which means he's under a lot of stress.
He's very stressed.
And
he's using the machine for the first time. He's torturing Wesley. He's about to get his head jogged by Andre the Giant.
Yeah.
He needs to go to his boss, and he needs like, listen, I got to change the hours.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
They do a classic joke where the albino's like, you're welcome to the pit of despair. And then he
and he's got
It was just a great 80s joke. Great dad joke.
I mean, that's what keeps this movie going is like, there's just so many like classic gags.
Mm-hmm.
Classic gags.
Do you think this is like a bit of a hot topic, like introducing the concept of love and relationships to kids at a young age. I mean, this is a love story.
Mhm.
They're very clear about that and they talk about that.
Mhm.
But that's also under a lot of pressure
Mhm.
right now politically
Yeah.
about like, when do you start talking about love? When do you introduce concepts of love to kids? Do you think this is like, I mean, without getting political, 'cause
Yeah, yeah.
political podcasts, like, is this done in an appropriate way still in 2020 of like telling kids that there is love that exists?
I mean, I guess that's like one of the reasons why the movie is impactful is because, I mean, those are like the pros and the cons of like dealing with anything adult. Like I still remember like the like violence of this movie that you're like, whoa, it's like kind of kiddie violence and then kind of not. Like
When you see the eels in part one,
Mhm.
and then when you see him stab the rat of unusual size after fighting it,
Rodent.
rodent of unusual size. There's, there's
I'm just not
definitely
gonna let that slide.
you should.
I'm gonna call.
You shouldn't. It'd be a different creature. Yeah, but there's definitely a little bit of violence in there.
I can
Fantasy violence.
Yeah. And so I can understand. I don't know. I think like so many culture wars are funny because like you're never going to run out of them.
Yeah.
Like there's always going to be one, like whatever the ones that everyone was yelling about in like the 90s are, you know, that is just like, oh yeah, really? We're just going to have that on the radio?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what skeet means?
You're just gonna let this rapper call a woman a bitch and a hoe?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Till the sweat. No. It says till the sweat drips down his balls. Oh, you think he's talking? No. Those are his testicles.
Did Bill O'Reilly ever read that? I'm gonna read the lyrics.
Yeah.
To the window, to the walls,
Till the sweat.
till the sweat drips down his balls.
Skeet, which a lot of you wouldn't know, but that is female. That is male ejaculate.
That is ejaculation.
I mean, that's what you saw the viral thing of like Ben Shapiro doing that
Yeah,
with WAP.
reading that with WAP. Yeah,
And I'm like, that's literally the same thing everyone
with
was
a
doing
wet AP word
Yeah.
and a wet AP word. Beat it up and word take a charge.
Yeah. So though there will
literally
Have
that's
you- have you
literally
seen
what
the-
it is
the
with him
Dis-
reading
the Disney version of WAP where someone edited all the
Yeah.
Disney.
Oh,
all
it's
the
so
Disney
good.
princesses,
It's
yeah.
like, man, even if you hate that song, even if you're offended by the sheer creativity of that is so good.
very good.
And the amount of Disney knowledge that was in that person's brain
Yeah.
before making it almost has to be a machine learning thing.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so good.
It was, yeah. Look up WAP Disney. It's very good. But yeah, I mean, I don't have any opinion on it besides like, I think it's good to deal with as adult themes as you can. Adult themes meaning like kids can handle truth. Kids can handle like good story. And I don't know, you're always going to have, listen, there's like conservative Muslim families that are not going to be excited that there's a gay couple in a movie. There's conservative like Jewish, like conservative religious groups are always going to be upset, not just people from the South or whatever.
Yeah.
So, I think this is like a great example of, and so everybody always goes towards like the shock value versions of that well, I don't know, when I've actually not even been reading or thinking about any of this because I've been busy lately, which has been nice, but I've heard about the Disney stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I do think that, I think like kids can handle more than people think, but then I also think parents can do whatever they want and should be able to like raise their kids however they want because they should be protected. But I think this is a good example of, certain people wouldn't be allowed to watch this because it has adult themes.
Yeah.
Or because there's like certain violence. I wasn't allowed to watch fucking Smurfs growing up.
Why not?
Because of like magic.
Oh yeah.
And it was like, and Simpsons and certain things now that we like make fun of our parents.
Yeah.
And I'm like, why? And my parents are like, I don't know. We didn't want you to, and I'm like, Chad could. And they're like, yeah, Chad was like watching porn with his brother in 6th grade.
But it was the Smurfs porn parody.
Yeah, it was a Smurf porn. parody.
Yeah, I was watching that.
So I don't know.
Your parents were busy reading Focus on the Family.
Yeah, they were. They. I'm sure they were, but I don't know if that's like an artful answer. Besides, like I was most impacted by a movie like Up that deals with like, oh, your partner, you're old and happy, and then you die, and then you know, like that's super heavy. I don't know if a 6-year-old could handle that, but it worked for so. And then I just think the media machine chooses the craziest versions that are like, to turn it into not the reality of the conversation. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
Yeah.
You handled that question very well. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This has been, I don't know. I don't want to do the button. I don't feel like doing it. We need to turn these off.
Cory, when's the last time you saw this movie?
I would say probably maybe college.
Okay.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a long while.
Yeah.
Like I remember, it's a memorable enough movie that I remember rolling down the hill. Remember the rodents of unusual size. Remember the eels. Forgot about the torture machine.
Oh, okay.
Totally forgot about that. But yeah, remember enough of it. But it's been a very long while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Remember Fred Savage. Didn't remember that the grandfather was played by Peter Falk.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have a question for you, John.
What's up?
What is in, cause you're a fantasy nerd.
Yeah.
And you've like kind of even like studied, I don't want to, no spoilers out there, but John has almost completed a fantasy book that he's writing.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
And
kids fantasy.
It's kids fantasy.
Yeah, it's for like 8 to 10 year olds.
What is in the power of fantasy that they can accomplish through this rather than in a standard I won't even say rom-com, but in a standard modern day romantic movie? What are you able to accomplish with fantasy that you're not able to in the other genre? And that can be with any type of storytelling. Like, why has fantasy exploded, and what does it afford writers that you can't do in other things because people just don't accept the rules? Does that make sense?
Well, first of all, I think that fantasy isn't bound by rules. One of the criticisms of fantasy is like, it's so unbelievable because they can just like cast a spell and then solve the problem. And it's like, Brandon Sanderson, my favorite author, is like, that can happen in any movie. If you have a movie that's in real life and the couple's broke and that's their tragedy, she could wake up to a voicemail from her rich uncle the next day. And it's like, fantasy is not a weak genre because it's anything's possible, because in any story, anything's possible.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think fantasy is just a setting. It's just like, fantasy is just the thing that puts it in a section of a bookstore. But like the stories, if it's a good fantasy story, it can take place in any setting. It could take place in real life. It could take place in space. It could take place underwater. It's the characters, the conflict, the story, the plot that like make these things compelling. I prefer fantasy because I live in the real world.
Yeah.
And like, I have experiences, you have experiences, and I love learning about people's experiences. But when I like want to hear a story, I want to be taken somewhere else.
Like you need some escape.
I need some escape. And like we've talked about books that are like super well received books, like Patti Smith's biography, which you two both love, Just Kids.
I didn't read it.
Well, you would love it.
I didn't read it.
Fucking loser.
Yeah,
you know why I didn't read it?
Because I told you not to.
Yeah.
Well, you should. I loved it.
Oh shoot! Now I'm really.
This is the perfect time to bring up this seating arrangement. Is the perfect time.
No, and it's like I wasn't friends with Andy Warhol. I didn't live in the Chelsea Hotel, but like I lived in New York. I struggled. I had like $37 in my bank account and had to pay rent. And it's like, that's a story or a setting that I was very familiar with. So it's like 1/3 of the story automatically becomes uninteresting to me, where it's like, I've never been in a forest with like fireballs shooting out of the ground, large rodents could eat me and I could fall into quicksand. So even as an adult now, that setting already is like way more interesting.
Yeah.
But like the love story, the revenge story that is going on in this movie, the desire to find true love, like that's in almost every other story out there. It's just this unique setting of it being high fantasy with torture machines and magic and shit like that.
Mm-hmm. I have an idea, a game.
Yeah.
I have a game because I find this very fascinating because I'm loving like all the same elements of a story, especially a good one are present here. So let's go through the different plot points and then talk about what one would be the same thing in Sex and the City. Like
From this movie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think it'll work, which would be like, okay,
I mean,
giving giving up on your true love and like tossing the fish back into the sea when they need to.
yeah.
Like, when does that happen?
I think that happens with Charlotte and Trey
Mm-hmm.
a lot.
Mm.
I think the entire forest sequence is Carrie getting high with the comic book artist.
The rodents of unusual size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like,
Or like a heel breaking. And I mean, I don't know the exact episode, but it's like a heel breaking and then you show up all sweat. Like,
I mean, when Miranda runs into Steve and Aiden, she's talking about how like she wants to like look a certain way and be presented a certain way, and that's like a revenge plot. Like I really want to appear a certain way to have revenge on you.
I would say when Wesley's in the torture machine, that's like when Charlotte drank the water in Mexico and got horrible diarrhea.
yeah.
Very much like that.
There's a scene where the rodent of unusual size, his like teeth are chomping down, and his tongue is like
Yeah.
That's basically Mr. Pussy.
That's Mr. Pussy. There's the six-fingered man is just, that'd be an episode of someone that Samantha dated.
Yeah.
It's like, you've never been fingered till you've been fingered by this
six-fingered man, or it's he's the rabbit.
He's the rabbit.
Six-fingered man is the rabbit.
Yeah, the two guys who are the three criminals that one dies and one ends up being good. That's got to be I can't think of any.
I mean, who's the chick that falls out the window?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lexi Featherstone.
Wallace-Shawn is Lexi Featherstone.
And Wallace-Shawn's in that scene.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, we did it.
Yeah.
I was telling
Dude, and what if she said "as you wish" as she fell out of the window?
as you
She was wishing that New York was a cooler place.
Yeah, and we're like, we still believe in New York. And she's like, as you wish. Splat. Dude, me and Cory were saying how we should start what's that guy's name? Chompo Silver or whatever. I don't know. From It's Always Sunny.
Oh, Pepe Silva.
Pepe Silva.
Yeah.
Of all the connections of all these people, because this has Rob Reiner, When Harry Met Sally, Billy Crystal, and Wallace-Shawn in it.
Yeah.
So there's like, and I think there's another one.
Mandy Patinkin's probably got to be in something.
Criminal Minds. Filmed in New York.
Filmed in New York, which is the fifth character of Sex and the City.
Sex and the City.
Yeah. Rodents of unusual size are large like elephants, which reminds me of Holiday in the Wild, which Kristen Smith was in.
There you go. Kristen Davis.
And lastly, Kevin Bacon.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon is in Crazy Stupid Love.
I know.
Which we are watching.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all comes back. It all comes back together. But what I like about this movie, and I'm going to do a really bad job explaining it,
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
but when you have a plot that's moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have like little problems that are brackets in that plot. So like the forest as a standalone concept is really interesting to me because they've made their general thing is they're running away from Humperdinck, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then they get put into a situation. It's the trash compactor in Star Wars.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, it's just a situation that's isolated from the real problem,
Mm-hmm.
but causes a whole new set of problems.
Yeah.
Like, so it's just like a really This movie doesn't ever feel like there's a slow period.
Mhm.
And I think like a good fantasy or any story should feel like it's always progressing. Like there's never a lull because everything that's happening is pushing the main plot forward.
Yeah.
Even those little problem plots, if that makes sense.
Yeah. There's a YouTube clip where at NYU, I think Trey and Matt
Oh
from
yeah.
South Park surprised the class. They're like, we have guest
That was from
lecturers.
an MTV show.
That's awesome.
It was like we're bringing out the creators of South Park to teach storytelling. It was from some
Jeez.
MTV show.
That's awesome. But
Yeah.
I mean, the main piece of advice that always stands out in good movies that we watch, and it stands out in TV, but I notice how, and it makes sense because you have to crank TV out, but movies, I think it goes through a lot more compression
Mhm.
of tightness because you don't have as much time to waste. So I think sometimes the moves of storytelling when it's done well in movies are even more
Yeah.
elegant
Mhm.
than even in TV when you're like, oh, okay, they had to have a storyline and it was okay.
Yeah.
And they said kind of exactly what you said, John, which is instead of like this happens and this happens and this happens and this happens, like it needs to be this happens, but this happens, therefore this happens.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And you can see that in a movie when you're like, yeah, a bunch of weird shit happened, but like that didn't connect at all to,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
I actually think one of the weirdest plot holes, and nerds will like push back, but in Harry Potter,
Mhm.
one of the biggest plot holes that like, I don't care how much people defend it. Like they basically, the snitch in Quidditch,
Yeah.
like whoever catches the snitch wins. So it nullifies the rest of the game.
yeah.
And they even kind of say it in the book that like and I'm like this, because if the snitch was worth less, then you would have to at certain points not catch the snitch. But it's basically made so like you don't have to pay attention to the rest of the game. And I was like, that's just like a weird thing that I was always like stuck in my crawl because you made this game up,
Mhm.
but it doesn't totally work.
Yeah.
And there's a few plot points in Harry Potter where it's like, oh, you're just at a Quidditch game and this happened.
Mhm.
And since that might not be the perfect example, but it's like the logic is off
Mhm.
and then it takes you out of the story.
Yeah.
And it's just a thing that happened. And in this and in Crazy Stupid Love, which I'm kind of blown away by, it's an incredible screenplay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But like every single thing is like 2 steps forward and
Yes.
half a step back.
Yes.
And it is like that fucked up, hilarious, entertaining, funny situation has stakes going into the next scene
Yeah.
every single time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it's just very impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think when you watch like a classic movie, like you're like, oh, that's why it's a classic because the pacing is just like so good. The plot is so strong. Every character, every side thing is pushing the main promise forward.
Yeah. I mean, I think one thing I noticed in this was that you get Fred Savage coming out, always talking about the kissing stuff.
Yeah.
And then when the story flips to have she's going to marry Humperdinck, he's like, his character is now worried.
Yeah.
He's like, that's not how it's
Right.
supposed to go.
Yeah.
You're telling it wrong.
Right.
And like shows how he's getting invested as you're going along.
Right.
And it's like raising the stakes for that.
Yeah.
And I mean, John and I for now, like years and years have been like telling stories to kids.
Mhm.
You could be 3 years old and you could tell a kid, you could end a story early and a 3-year-old's just like, no,
Mhm.
no.
What?
You could just be like, that's the end. And they're like, no, it's not.
Mhm.
And it's like, you know that before you know, like that doesn't take a screenwriting class to be like,
Yeah.
no, they're not. He just dies.
Yeah.
Humperdinck or Wesley dies.
Yeah.
And it's a very clever way that they did in this story that I guess maybe as adults gives you a reason to like reconnect to why a certain story like grabbed you. So you can watch the Kevin Arnold character
Yeah.
and I don't know. It'd be interesting to read the original
Book.
book because that's just like a brilliant thing to bring everybody into it, to be like, rather than it go full Lord of the Rings,
Mhm.
you can pull out and just be like, hold on, and like let you catch your breath and put yourselves in the grandpa character or the kid character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And man, how excited am I to be the grandpa character?
Mhm.
Like I loved being the kid character at a part of my life, and now it's like to be able to share these really fun stories with my son and the younger generation is so fun.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's just so fun.
When do you think you'll show this movie to your kids?
I don't know. I have no idea what's like appropriate for I know what the first R-rated movie my son will see is.
What's that?
Predator, 100%.
Really?
Yeah, it's got it all.
Why?
Age 6.
What?
Age 6.
Probably double digits. Probably like 11.
11?
I don't know. When
That's pretty early for Predator.
12?
I mean,
I don't know.
PG-13
Old
is
school Predator,
PG-13 is at 13.
And this is Dylan, you son of, it was the first R-rated movie I saw, and I really had a great experience with it.
There's a lot in Predator.
Something in the news, a podcast, The Bradshaw Boys, one of the hosts of it says that he wants to show his 11-year-old son Predator. These are the people that are entertaining you out there. This is parenting now.
Dylan, you son of a bitch.
I've never seen Predator.
Oh, it's so
man.
good.
It's like
I've seen the meme.
The whole movie is a meme.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great.
It's got
really
two,
good.
it's got 2 California governors in it. No, I guess 1 Minnesota, 1 California. Sorry.
Who's the
Ventura?
Jesse Ventura?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Is the meme the black guy and the white guy fist? That's
Carl Weathers and
Carl Weathers.
Schwarzenegger. Yeah.
Wow.
It's like the first scene in the movie.
there was a really good one of those. I thought that meme was done, and usually we don't steal meme jokes and repeat them on the show, but it's the black arm and the white arm bicep together, and at the one side says like rock singers in stadiums and dads when they're leaving telling the family we're leaving the restaurant. Okay, guys, let's rock and roll.
That's great.
I was like, my sister sent that to the family thread. My dad gets roasted so hard. Like just something like that. He's just being himself for his whole life. And he's just like, all right, that's just, I paid for the damn fucking dinner that night.
Say, let's rock and roll.
I just want to say, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
But
great.
Well, I don't know if we'll ever watch Predator on this podcast, but someone did suggest we watch It Follows.
I suggested that.
Oh, really?
Well, because we were talking about horror movies. Someone suggested we watch Midsommar.
Yeah.
And then we were talking about horror movies. And then we came back with saying, here's some other ones. And we said It Follows. I've never seen It Follows.
I would watch.
It's great.
I would watch Midsommar if you make me again.
We could do It Follows, but we should have on a guest that does like a very intense.
Is it a horror movie?
It's a horror movie, but we'll have someone who does a very intense explanation and breakdown about sexual transmitted infection
about, right?
stigmas, because that's what the movie's about.
Oh, cool.
We got one more to finish off Pete Bride.
Yeah.
We're gonna do another pod tonight. We're gonna finish off Pete Bride and come back and hit you with the last episode.
What is left in P Bride?
There's like 35 minutes left.
So I'm guessing Wesley comes back to life.
I don't know.
Oof.
Yeah, you have to figure out. Did you guys do like the Blockbuster stuff with Princess Bride? Like how much money it costs to make? We'll do that next episode.
Yeah, a little bit. We'll go through more.
We did a little bit about casting, but we haven't done.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't done that. As
I will say, if you just watched Princess Bride, just like look at how big Andre the Giant's fingers are.
It's massive.
Look up the picture of him holding a beer. I mean, he was an insane human being.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And go get on the YouTube and watch the
story.
What's it called? Home movie?
Home movie.
Home movie. We just watched 5 minutes of it. It's crazy.
It's really fun. Really, really fun.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, everybody.
Later, taters.
Later, taters.
The Bradshaw Boys stars Cory Cavin, Kevin James Doyle, and Jon Sieber. The show is produced by me, Jeremy Balon, and narrated by Katie Sieber. This podcast is part of the Seltzer Kings Network. Check out all their great podcasts at seltzerkings.com. You can find the boys on their socials at The Bradshaw Boys or on their website at thebradshawboys.com. And as always, if you see them in the street, tip your glass. Thanks for listening.